Hello YouTube. Today I'll tell you about a very interesting part of Africa, and certainly it has its own share of mysteries and secrets and enigmas. And we're speaking about the Aksum, a mysterious city with giant skyscrapers. Aksum, located in the north of Ethiopia, is not only a historical city but also a place where the powerful Axumite kingdom once flourished. From this moment begins the mystery associated with this ancient city. You see, the ancient city of Aksum, I believe sometimes also called Aksumis, is located at an altitude of over 2,000 meters, 6,800 feet, in the north of the Ethiopian highlands, in the modern province of Tigray, close to the river Tekezi, a tributary of the Nile. The city, occupied from the 1st century Common Era, was both the capital of a trading empire and a ceremonial center, which included many stone monuments. The main monuments of Aksum are giant steles or stela, the creation of which still remains a mystery. Of the total number of stela in Aksum and its surroundings, most are small monoliths, but among them there are several impressive specimens. A stele, or occasionally stela when derived from Latin, is a stone or wooden slab, generally taller than it is wide, erected in the ancient world as a monument. The surface of the stela often has text, ornamentation, or both. This may be inscribed, carved in relief, or painted. The total number of stela in Aksum and its immediate surroundings, according to some sources, is more than 170 pieces. Well, only a couple, basically, of massive monoliths stand out from the entire mass of local, poorly processed, relatively small stones. The most impressive are the stela that are located in the city itself, although even here the vast majority are almost unprocessed monoliths, sometimes of very modest size, but there are also very impressive specimens. Also impressive, of course, is the broken stela, whose weight is estimated at 500 tons. The pedestal of this stela has disappeared somewhere without a trace. Its total length was 33.5 meters, but the most famous stela is a 24-meter obelisk weighing 180 tons that has survived to this day. In 1937, after the capture of Ethiopia by fascist Italy, the Axum 24-meter obelisk was cut into 3 parts by Italian soldiers and taken to Rome. Contrary to the United Nations recommendation in 1947, Italy had resisted the return of the obelisk, which caused a long diplomatic dispute. Ethiopia considers the obelisk a national treasure. In April of 2005, Italy returned that obelisk to Aksum and paid the transportation costs in the amount of $4 million. UNESCO has taken up the reinstallation of the stela. In June 2008, the lower part of the obelisk was installed, and in July, the installation of all 3 fragments of the stela was completed. Of the 7 tallest stela originally forming a group, 5 lay in ruins across the field. These stela are significant not only for their great stature, but also their extraordinary design, as they have been carved to represent buildings of up to 13 stories in height. Although actual Axumite buildings probably never exceeded a maximum of 3 stories, that's what the scientists say. Many details of the obelisks are regarded as accurate representations of the architecture of the time. So was this a representation of an ancient multi-story building has ancient inhabitants of Aksum or those who preceded them observed such buildings? Dating from around 300 to 500 Common Era, most of the Aksum stela seem to predate the arrival of Christianity to Ethiopia. Their purpose is almost certainly religious, according to scientists, but the details are not known for certain. The obelisk is installed on a hill that was turned by ancient builders into a three-tiered platform made of massive slabs. There's also a reduced copy with a height of 21 meters and a weight of 120 tons installed nearby. Obelisks are made of solid blocks of bluish basalt, one of the hardest rocks. Moreover, such basalt had to be delivered to Aksum on purpose, since the nearest exits of this rock are located a few kilometers from the city. Officially, the stela date back to the 1st century of our era. However, there is a legend in Aksum itself, according to which they were built by Cyclops giants who knew how to melt stone. They poured it into long wooden molds, and when the stone cooled, it was cut, polished, and then turned into giant stela. The most important mystery remains. First of all, why and how such a huge weight was moved. Axum is also, by the way, associated with the Ark of the Covenant. It is believed that this is the last place associated with the Ark. According to local legends, it was to Axum that the Queen of Sheba returned after her trip to King Solomon. Historians are still arguing about the reality of the existence of this queen in antiquity. However, local guides, they'll tell you differently. They're proud to show tourists the Queen of Sheba pool, a deep and extensive reservoir carved into solid rocks. Aksum is also notable because it is the last place, like I said, mentioned with the Ark of the Covenant. And this is important. The kingdom of Aksum, the city-state of Aksum, or the Aksumite Empire, was centered in East Africa and South Arabia from classical antiquity to the Middle Ages. Based primarily in what is now northern Ethiopia and spanning modern-day Eritrea, Djibouti, and Sudan, it extended at its height into much of southern Arabia. During the reign of Caleb, king of Aksum, the kingdom of Aksum was considered one of the four great powers of the 3rd century by the Persian prophet Mani, alongside Persia, Rome, and China. During the reign of Anubis, Aksum began minting coins that have been excavated as far away as Caesarea and southern India. Aksum's final 3 centuries are considered a dark age, and through uncertain circumstances, the kingdom collapsed around the year 960. Despite its position as one of the foremost empires of late antiquity, the kingdom of Aksum fell into obscurity. As Ethiopia remained isolated throughout the late Middle Ages. The stela are perhaps the most identifiable part of the Aksumite architectural legacy. These stone towers serve to mark graves and represent a magnificent multi-storied palace. They are decorated with false doors and windows in typical Aksumite design. The largest of these towering obelisks would measure 33 meters high, headed not fractured. The stela have most of their mass out of the ground, but are stabilized by massive underground counterweights. The stone was often engraved with a pattern or emblem denoting the king's or the noble's rank. For important monuments built in the region, a particular type of granite is used called nepheline syenite. It is fine-grained and has also been used in historic monuments like the stela. These monuments are often used to celebrate key figures in Aksum history, especially kings or priests. The stelae are also called the obelisks, and they're located in the Mai Heja stela field, where complex sedimentology of the land can be observed. The foundations for the monuments are around 8.5 meters below the surface of the Mai Heja stela field. Sediments in this area have undergone a lot of weathering over the years, so the surface of this area has undergone a number of changes. This is part of the reason for the complex stratigraphic history in this site. Some previous layers under the surface of the site. Other remains of stone structures include 3 palace-like buildings, which once had towers, each with stone-pillared basements, royal tombs with massive walls, creating separate chambers, water cisterns, irrigation channels, and 2 or 3-story buildings used as residence by the Axum elite. Most large structures were built on a stepped granite base composed of dressed blocks, with access provided by monumental staircases, usually consisting of 7 steps, and stone lion head gargoyles often provided roof drainage. Impressive, and there's so much more in North Africa that I have described and will describe more, whether it be in Sudan, in Ethiopia, and Africa itself is a fascinating continent. I know more of its southern part, but definitely, given a chance, I will go to Ethiopia and other places too. And like I said, I intend to tell you more about the paranormal or mysterious aspects of Africa's past. If you like my research, please support me through the links you will see described in the description to this video. Please like my videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.